Today's show is brought to you by HomebrewSupply.com. Homebrew Supply is your one-stop shop for brew day ingredients, recipes, equipment, and more. Take advantage of everyday low pricing and everyday flat rate shipping only at HomebrewSupply.com. Go to HomebrewSupply.com right now and use our promo code HHH to get 5% off your order. HomebrewSupply.com. Let us help make your brew day better.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Kolsch additives, dry hopping essentials, forgetting to sanitize, and indoors versus outdoors brewing. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 220. You know, something was going to go wrong. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stubing. Today I'm joined by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com, right down there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as over my right shoulder, he is the President and Resident Chief Keg Washer of KegConnection.com, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing today?
Good.
Wonderful. I like that. Just good. And Todd, I can't tell you enough. I love that shot. Like,
it looks good, doesn't it?
Doesn't it look good?
Yeah.
I think it's a great
shot. I think it's too far back.
Yeah.
See his shit. He's got a new shelf there. He's all organized.
You are super organized.
My office look like crap.
And
don't look at all that.
And I'm in my kitchen of my new home that we're still unpacking. I'm in a corner spot of they call it a breakfast nook. So I know I've made it in life because this home has a dining room and it has a breakfast nook. We're not going to use the dining room. It's going to be like for our piano and stuff. But when my wife told me that, she goes, "No, that's the other dining room." I go, "Wait, there are people who have what would you use two dining areas for? Who does that?"
I think your mic stand, something's wrong. It's moving around a bunch.
I don't look. I'm unpacking still. You see, I don't have a mic stand right now.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
I had to dig this out last minute. So we've been doing Zoom calls this whole week, and our Zoom calls have been me without my camera on because the laptop that I use is Asus ROG whatever, doesn't have it built into it. And it didn't matter to me until we need to do Zoom calls. So y'all been looking at my avatar that I use on Zoom, which is a cartoon caricature with a monkey on it. And Todd just loves staring at that. But we have
I'm constantly, every time he says something on the last call, James, if he said something I didn't agree with, I'd go, "Was that you saying that or the monkey on your back?"
The monkey on your back.
And apparently that's some monkey on your back's a euphemism for addiction or something. Todd was telling me. He's like, "What are you trying to say?"
Very much so.
He's like, "What are you trying to say about that?"
Are you kidding me? You listen to music all the time. You know that.
Yeah, I didn't realize though. I just didn't think about it. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for bringing that up, Todd. I've moved in, but that, I had a lot of people message me this week going, "Oh, we kind of know you, Josh, or are y'all not going to do an episode this week because it's too much of a hassle?" I was like, "No, we are doing an episode." And I sent the PDF late to you and you guys, but y'all this morning were like, "Yeah, let's do it." So here we are, episode 220. First off, every week I'm still amazed at what number episode we're at. 220. It feels like we just did episode 100 from my office, in my opinion, with
or what was that, episode 15? What was that that you posted the other day? You got
somebody messaged me, Todd, on Instagram. It was my personal Instagram, and my Instagram yesterday says, "Hey, you have an unread message." I was like, "No, I'm addicted to my cell phone. I know when I get notifications." So I go to check it, and sure enough, there's one in there. So I open it. It was from September 29th, 2015. And it was a guy named Derek, I think Osborne. And he says, he says something along the lines of like, hey, I just wanted to let you know how big of a fan I am of you and Todd and the show. This is before James Carlson was even a thing. You were just a twinkle in the Homebrew Happy Hour's eye. And,
That's right.
and so I replied to him. I was like, hey, man, thanks for listening. I told him, I said, I'm so sorry. It took me almost 6 years to get back to you.
6 years to respond. Hey,
Stop it.
Welcome to my world.
Stop it. I knew it. I knew that's what I knew it.
Zing!
Yeah, I knew it. Well, I did. I told him I was, this is a record because, the longest I've gone ignoring you, it's been a while, but not 6 years. And he doesn't follow me. This guy doesn't follow me anymore. I don't know if he ever did follow me or if he had just.
Gee, I wonder why.
I wonder why. But and he didn't. It didn't say he's seen my message yet. So we'll see if he replies. And Derek, I hope you still watch the show because in September of 2015. You might have been one of our dozen listeners who weren't related to us. So we appreciate you. We appreciate all feedback here at Homebrew Happy Hour. And sometimes I'll even get back to you in a timely manner. But
to be fair, I could never, ever find anybody that I was related to that would listen. So.
yeah, you're right. Well, we had friends that we would beg to listen, like just listen and give us feedback on the quality. I don't care if you don't care about the content, but
but you guys can agree with me on this. The listeners that we have, they're awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
We actually Wood Johnson came by.
You told me.
What was it, Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, and he dropped damn near a whole case of homebrewed beer off.
No, I don't think it was that much.
Oh no, Todd's only saying that, James.
Oh yeah, I left it in Todd's office.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he left. Get this, he left cigars, Cohibas.
See, Todd didn't tell me about that either.
Don't remember any cigars.
Son of
so
a
big
gun.
shout out to Wood, man. It was nice to meet you. We kind of showed him around the place. Hell of a good guy.
And Mike came by yesterday.
And I told him, Friday's your brew day.
Yeah.
Anytime, give me a holler. We can brew together.
And Todd,
I'm not saying anything to him because I got that taste in my mouth and I'm real hungover today.
Todd, and then our buddy Mike from the Patreon group came by. Was it yesterday or was it?
Yeah.
Yesterday was Wednesday.
He
Oh,
came
really?
by
I didn't see him.
with his wife, and I gave him the nickel tour and everything.
That's
so.
right.
I didn't know. I would have liked to have met him.
He brought beer
I
too.
think you were at the bank, James.
You were running errands. Had to be because they didn't stay long.
I don't think you were here when he came by.
I told
you had gone to the bank or something.
I told these guys to let me know ahead of time. I want to be there.
Yeah.
It's always fun when people come by because then Todd turns into a nicer person, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful work environment when strangers are there. It's like when I was a kid.
He left beer too.
I know.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying it's like when I was a kid and my parents wouldn't hit me in public. I mean, I got a lashing when we got out of public,
Sure.
but when people were around, they were.
When you
nice.
got to the car. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see real quick before we get into the questions. A few small talk. Kolsch Cup is still going on. Right now, tentatively, we're still planning on doing it next week. Starting the judging on Thursday evening, I think. We had people drop out, about 5 so far confirmed drop out. But Todd, you were like, it's fine. We 65 was already too much. So 60.
I cannot believe how long it takes to unbox and put beers away. Just that one thing. I think we had 15 packages yesterday.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a guy working for me at one of my wife's nephews. Well, he's my nephew too, but he's there with us and he's helping. So I've been making him unpack them and put them in. I'm like, if you unpack a beer and then you don't see a number on it, make sure you keep the beer with the address because there's a few people that haven't put the numbers on the beers.
Yeah,
So.
I'm no stranger to not following directions, so it doesn't surprise me. It's fine. You've been good, though, about calling me and going, hey, this one doesn't have a registration number, but I have their name. What is it? And we did it added, so it hasn't been a big deal at all.
Well, to be fair, he left 4 aside because he didn't have them, and I glanced at them this morning. And the first 2 I looked at actually did have the number in real small print on the label of the bottle, so he just didn't know what to look for.
Your poor nephew. Did he want to be put to work, or is that what you do when they stay long
somebody
enough?
Put a T-shirt in there too. I forgot which. I opened so many.
Just one?
The one with a T-shirt I left in the box so we could acknowledge it.
Oh.
But you know what sucks about it?
What?
It's a large.
Oh, it'll fit James or me.
I couldn't even steal it.
James or me will have to a leg wrestle for it. We and I say that I'm an extra large now. I'm the heaviest I've been in a while. Todd, we gotta do a weight loss. Even though you actually look like you're losing weight over there. I don't know if you've been walking your property. I'm 194. It's the heaviest I've been since our last weight loss competition, I think. But that day, the day before we did that weight loss competition, I think I got up to 198 because I just ate a bunch of crap to try to beat you. But you gamed that one better than I did. So yes, Kolsch Cup is still going on. Oh, Super Duper Homebrew Club member recipe kits for this month. In case you haven't seen it, and the yeast order is coming in next week, Joe tells me, from Imperial. It's between an Amber Waves West Coast Ale or the Northern German Alt Beer. This was one I put out the feelers to you guys, and Todd was like, I've never had a Northern German alt beer. I don't know what that's going to taste like. We shouldn't do that. But then Joe.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh, well, then what did you say?
I said I've never brewed that recipe, and I don't think we should have something on there that nobody has brewed.
That's what it was. My bad. I put
Joe
words in.
said he had brewed it.
Joe did say brew, and he said it's delicious. He said it's going to be a great recipe. So I was thinking about how, because James, you need something to brew tomorrow. What is your brew day tomorrow?
I was going to brew another lager, but if you guys need me to brew something, I'm totally fine with that.
I was going to say, when I come up next week, I'd love to take home a recipe kit, and I will take home either the West Coast Ale or the German alt beer. Todd, do you have a preference of which one maybe y'all want to brew up there between those two? Or you to brew at the barn.
West Coast Ale, you said?
Yes, it's the Amber Waves West Coast Ale, which is one of the best sellers on homebrewsupply.com.
I've brewed it before, yeah. It's good beer.
So then do you want to do the Northern German since you've never brewed it? And me and my dad will do the West Coast?
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
Yeah, either one. I want to brew. I've been trying to brew something different every time, so it's been kind of fun. So I haven't brewed that one.
Then I think you should do that one, and I'll take home the Amber Waves West Coast Ale. And James, you keep pumping out lagers. I don't
know when I'm gonna have time to brew though. I've got the next couple of weekends full, so maybe a while.
We'll find time. Right. You could do like a Mr. Miyagi thing with your nephew, where it's like, I'm gonna show you this.
Well, you know what?
And make him do it.
I'm gonna release that American Light Lager recipe. That's going to be a new recipe, so we could feature that on a taster because Todd's got some. I don't have any left. I've drank it all. But
even the second batch, you've already.
Yeah,
finished?
It's gone. It's gone.
Kidding me?
You got the full keg, but to be honest, my keg wasn't quite that full.
I floated mine last night.
Okay.
But I have a whole nother keg. That was the first batch.
Oh, okay.
I haven't even tapped the second keg.
Well, James,
that's all I'm telling you. I enjoy it. I really like it.
And what else do you have on tap anyway, James, at home?
I've got that Belgian ale that Todd brewed.
Yeah.
And then I have that milk stout on tap.
Oh, I still love that milk stout.
I love that Belgian. I've been drinking it like crazy.
I haven't tried it. I mean, beyond what it was in your CF15 before it was carbonated. That's all I've tried, and it was good.
You're bringing the IPA,
the Low Tide Session IPA. I have a
Session IPA, and I think mine will be ready. I just fit. Well, we have a. You said we had a question about dry hopping. I literally took the dry hops out 2 days ago and cold crashed it, so it may be ready when you get here.
Nice.
We might be able to still keg it by the end of next week.
We'll definitely have an episode recorded for Low Tide, and like James said, if we can get that American Light Lager, Todd, from you.
Yeah, I've got it. I can just I'll send you the PDF.
Make sure we get some Low Tide. I want to do that again. I like it better when we compare it to the recipe.
What do you mean? The
last few episodes we haven't had another beer.
Oh yeah, so you mean I need to go grab like an all day IPA from Founders? Yeah. Okay, I can do that. I'm pretty sure all day IPA was like the one Founders beer that the drive-through in Comanche always had.
Yeah, they do have it. I've seen it there.
So okay, perfect. Well then, we've got episodes of Recipe Recap lined up that we couldn't get done because of the snowstorm and then me moving and all that. But anyway, y'all come to this show so that you can hear Q&A, or I don't know why you come to this show, but what we're going to do this week, we have 4 questions lined up. Our first question comes from our buddy Russell, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Russell wrote, "Hi, Josh, Todd, and James. Your podcast has provided me lots of entertainment and information, so I thank you for that. The Kolsch Cup is coming up, and I want to know if there is any variation that you would consider brewing in the future. I have considered dry hopping coffee in my Kolsch, and I even read online that peppers are a common additive for dry hopping straightforward beers. What additive could you see yourself trying just to say you at least tried it? Russell, that's a good question. I don't know if he got this from the Facebook group. I don't know if you're a member of our super duper homebrew club Facebook group, but this kind of came up in there too. I saw that question there where I think our buddy Billy Bellevance, who had asked about like, hey, if I was going to do something, and people were joking like, oh, do a sour Kolsch just to piss off Josh, and someone, yeah, no, right. And then I think our buddy Jimmy had commented about doing peppers. I have no experience with peppers. I have no experience. Do have experience with coffee with the breakfast stout, but I have no experience, and I honestly have no desire to add additives on my Kolsch. So I'm going to pass it off gracefully before I put any more input. James, what do you think about additives in a Kolsch?
9.
Oh, so Todd,
I would probably lean more towards a pepper than coffee on a Kolsch. You know, like I've had jalapeno and chili beer. Not a big fan, but a lot of people like it. But I just like a Kolsch.
I'm with you in that, and not to be a snob or a purist, but Kolsch is one of those ones that's untouchable for me. Now, for Russell's question about like, could you ever see yourself trying? And he had a gun to my head. I'm with you. I think peppers made more sense, and I have had. What was the commercial release? Did Shiner do a jalapeno beer once, or who? Somebody in Texas.
Somebody did. I can't think of it, but.
Todd,
it needs to be subtle.
It does need to be subtle. Todd, you are the king of doing things to piss me off. If you were to make a Kolsch that would be different and maybe not piss me off, but enough to where like, hey, here's a Kolsch, Josh, and then have an additive in it that you think would be unique or maybe not even offensive. What additive could you think of adding?
For you, probably raspberry or
cherry
Kolsch. There you go. That's what I would do. I'm making you a cherry Kolsch. Every time you come over, you have to have a glass of it till it's
to be fair to the question, I've done additives in a Kolsch before. It was a ester additive on accident. It was
me too. I did a lactobacillus additive.
You're right.
I've had a lot of beers with pepper in them, and I kind of like them. But the problem is that I really I enjoy drinking one. I just don't know if I want to drink 150 of them, or if I did a 5-gallon batch, 50. I don't know if I want to drink 50 of them. I mean, I just. Maybe dry hopping would be an idea if you wanted to get a little bit more aroma, but I don't know. We're all three together. I don't have any desire to put an additive in my Kolsch.
Well, I will say that you said cherry, and it just made me think. I've had one cherry beer in my entire life that was good, and it was Brandon's.
Brandon's.
I already know what it is. Brandon's. Yeah,
Brandon Allen. He's a part of our Patreon program. Haven't talked to you in a while, Brandon. Please send us more beer. I will pay you for the next batch. That cherry.
I think what you're supposed to do is send beer back to somebody.
Well, we do need to do a beer trade.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this practice that you speak of. Russell, wrapping up your question, I have heard of somebody shared with me, it was, I believe, in the Portland area, that some commercial release of a coffee Kolsch, and apparently it's very highly rated. Maybe if you use the premium coffee like Folgers, I could see doing that. I'm not sure. You just make sure you do it right. You want to have the right coffee in there. But no, I think like Todd said, we're all on the same page. Maybe we're not the right guys to ask about additives in a Kolsch. Kind of put our nose up to it. But anybody listening, send your hate mail to tburns@catconnection.com and let us know what kind of additives you're doing. We would love to hear from you and what you think has worked for you, because we have a lot more listeners doing Kolsch now than ever before and experimenting with Kolsch. And if you're the people to do that, God bless you. because we're not. But Russell, we thank you for submitting the question. Moving on to question number 2. But before I do, it's a great time to let you know, remind y'all that if and when we take your question on a future episode, we do give you a $25 gift card to catconnection.com, courtesy of the present Mr. Todd Burns. So thank you for your generosity. So question number 2 came from our buddy Simon, who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Simon wrote, "Hey gang, I consider myself to be very much an amateur still, and I'm just now starting to dry hop the IPAs that I'm making. In your opinion, what is the most critical part about dry hopping? Do I need to take a reading of my beer to make sure it's finished fermenting before I do anything? Does the beer's temperature matter? I hope for any advice you can offer. Cheers." James, I'm going to throw it to you first because I don't know if you absolutely have to make sure primary is done.
Because James dry hops a lot of IPAs.
No, I mean for the first part. Okay, Todd.
Well, I would say this, and I'll turn it over to Todd. If I was going to dry hop, I would absolutely wait until, because I do a lot of lagers. The hops work better if the beer is a little warmer. And you don't want it in active fermentation because the CO2 can scrub off a lot of the aromatics of the hops. But Todd's the hop guy, not me.
Okay, Todd, here's your moment.
Well, no, and I wasn't saying you're not the hop guy because because
I'm not. Everybody knows I am.
No, but I was just saying you're not the IPA guy.
There you go. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah, well, that is true.
You like German noble hops, right?
Yeah, in equal balanced amounts.
Yeah,
in equal.
So I'm doing an IPA right now, and I've experimented with this a lot. Probably the last 4 beers I've dry hopped have either been IPAs or fairly strong pale ales, and I've done it a lot of different ways. And I'm not saying this is the right way. I'm saying this is the easy way to do it for me. I put them in bags now because the problem I was having when I didn't put them in bags was that I ended up getting a whole lot of hops in the beer when I kegged it, even if I let it cold condition for a really long time. And then I was constantly getting dip tubes clogged up. So I put it in bags now, and it seems to pretty much, it's eliminated that. But I've changed how I do it. So I definitely wait until it is done. So I do take a reading. The one I just did, I took a reading. It was 110, and I was, that's where I wanted it to be. It could have even been a little higher than that, but that's where it ended up. Which, as you know, I love dry beer, so I was fine with that. So I waited until it was there, and then this was a 15-gallon bag. So I used 2 hop bags, filled them up full of the hops, boiled them first in water. I boiled not with the hops in them, but I boiled the bags in water to sanitize them. Then I filled them full of hops. I'll tell you what I did this time, James. I don't know if you remember, but once before I did this, and they fell to the bottom, and I felt like I didn't get enough hop aroma, but also I couldn't open my valve to drain the old yeast out. When I was cold crashing, because the bags basically clogged it up. It made a stopper. So what I did this time is I have a cooling coil, and I tied them to the cooling coil, plopped them through there, and dropped it down with the cooling coil, so they were suspended in the beer.
Oh, good.
And I could really tell a difference in the aroma this time. I got a lot more aroma by suspending them. And then when I took them out about a week later, I pulled them out, and without touching it, without touching where it was coming out, I kind of squeezed a little bit, made sure I got all that beer that had been soaking in the hops out. And man, it smells great. I mean, I actually pulled a sample last night, tasted it, smelled it, much more aroma than I've gotten in the past. So,
oh, cool. So, I know when we do it loosely, it kind of sits on top of the wort.
Yeah.
And then as it gets dissolved, it'll slowly make its way to the bottom. But if you put it in a bag, chances are that's probably going to just set down on the very bottom of the fermenter. So it doesn't, that's a great idea. That's a good mention for people that want to dry hop.
To tie it to the top, you mean?
Yeah, and just get it suspended inside the liquid instead of setting in a bag on the bottom of the yeast cake.
I think it worked a lot better.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
You know what else works better? Real quick, when you turn the mic in front of your mouth, you have it faced up. Look at, like, you're talking to it like that, like turn to paint. No, towards you.
Does it matter where the mic is?
Yeah, it needs to face your mouth.
Is it directional?
Hey,
like that? Is that better?
Yeah. Oh man.
Wow.
That night and day.
Technical guy never told me that before.
I didn't know that you knew that. It's like if you were taking a selfie and you're facing it like this, like, okay, why isn't it picking up my face? I'm trying So anyway, so sorry, Todd. People want to hear you, and I heard you fine. I was playing with the board
And
to crank it up.
Something else, Todd, that we noticed, we were getting lids from a sample lid from a manufacturer, and they had a little. You remember that they had a hook welded on a stainless steel hook welded on the underside of the corny keg lid. So that's a great idea because you could hang a bag off of that if your lid I don't know if the new kegs have it, but I know that the replacement lid vendor that we were looking at put that on there, and that's a great idea.
Well, and real quick, you talked about taking a sample, and I agree that it should be done. When you have a conical and it's easier to do it is one thing. Todd, were you taking samples too from like? If you were fermenting in a bucket, you would still say yes. You need to take a reading and make sure. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because you do anyway. You want to know when you hit final gravity and when you're going to do the cold crash. So you always want to take a.
When's
reading.
the last time y'all used a wine thief or whatever they're called?
The time before last when I brewed.
Oh, because you had to use buckets too.
Yeah, I use buckets all the time. I typically, although the IPA is in the big one, I typically put loggers in my conical, and then I put ales in buckets because it's your lager typically is in the conical for a very long time, and I can't wait that long to brew again. So.
And we didn't touch necessarily on his second or his last question of his paragraph about does the temperature matter when you're dry hopping? Do you got now, James, with all the alpha and the beta, like the range though?
I think that hops. If it's cold, you're not going to get the aromatics out of the hops that you normally would if it was at room temperature, say between 65 and 70. In my opinion, that's where I would dry hop at. So if I was dry hopping a lager, I would just dry hop it when I'm doing the diacetyl rest, and because that's going to be at room temperature anyway, so you can get more aromatics out of a warmer wort than you can if it's cold.
Perfect, and that's what I was trying to draw out because I wasn't sure. I knew the range, but if there's
a controversy. I mean, there was a study done by one of another podcast that you probably wouldn't let me mention on the show.
I read that.
They did a blind taste test where some people dry hopped it cold and some hot. They dry hopped one at the normal temperature, and then one when they were cold crashing, and then they had a bunch of people blind taste tested.
Yeah,
the
you can say Brewlosophy. We like them.
The results were non-conclusive, I would say, right? I mean, they were
inconclusive. Yeah. We are
inconclusive.
That too. Neither. You could say Brewlosophy. We like those guys. Marshall doesn't reply to my messages ever. I talk to his neighbor Ryan more than I talk to him, but no, they're good guys. They have their community. They've done a good job they've got guys in their brew crew that have like, hey, so and so, or they tell, I guess, Brewlosophy like, hey, what do you think about this experiment? Brewlosophy's like, yeah, okay, and then they go and do it. It's wonderful. Mm-hmm. We hypothetically say we should do this, and then a year goes by and a listener reminds me, hey, y'all said you were going to do this. Have y'all tried it? I'm like, I'm going to wait 5 years before I reply to you now.
Well, we're technically a little more on the equipment side than we are on the other side.
Sure, yeah. Well, we should offer that up to people who are, because our community is phenomenally interactive. Like, it blows my mind how interactive, where especially in the private Facebook group, where someone proposes a question or something, and before I even get to see it, there's 15 responses of people like, well, here's what I would do. And Lorena is a very active member of it, and she has been super valuable. I need to throw her like an Arby's gift card or something in the mail, or wherever you like to eat, Lorena. Let me know. I'll give you a $5.
Arby's? Really? You're going to send her an Arby's gift card?
It was a joke, sort of.
A $5 Dunkin' Donuts.
That's what it was. It was a $5 Dunkin' Donuts card to say thank you for bringing that to our attention. That was a later episode in The Office.
That was the guy Gabe. They never noticed that left the show for how many episodes?
Yeah, exactly. But Simon, make sure your beer is done with primary and room temperature if you're trying to get the most out of the aroma from your hops. If it's a lager, like James said, the diacetyl rest is a perfect time. If you're going to do
that's just the way I would do it.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for submitting that question. Moving on to the third question of this week's episode came from our friend Chris M, who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Chris wrote, "What's up, guys? I watch your podcast on my TV every brew day, and I'm going to blame you for distracting me before a transfer to my keg where I forgot to sanitize my siphon. This just happened, and I'm panicking over here. What can I do besides cross my fingers? Do you think it's a guaranteed infection, or could the beer gods spare me from suffering from a ruined batch? Cheers to better brew days, Chris." Todd doesn't worry about Quacha, man. When he is the king of cool. I will call him with something. He basically gives me the Charlie Papazian response of like, relax. Don't worry.
Yeah, the beer gods are going to shine upon this guy. I'm telling
the good thing is there's actually alcohol in that wort, or that wort's been turned into beer, so there's alcohol. So I wouldn't throw it out just yet.
I'm not even sure you need to sanitize your keg before you put the beer in it. Like I always do, but if it's clean and you washed it and you're putting beer with alcohol in it, I'm not even 100% convinced you need to sanitize it.
I remember the video you did, Todd, the original from your kitchen, like right when your new home was built that you're in now. And I say new, it's been 7 or 8 years. We did a transferring from secondary to a keg. And one of the things that stuck with me was you just telling people there's alcohol present. So be clean, be sanitary, but don't lose sleep over what you're doing in regard, like, because I think we sanitized the auto siphon in that video.
Yeah, I always do.
You always do. But you just made it a point to say like, I'm not wearing gloves and I'm not in PPE. I'm not trying to keep all infection out because our beer is in a pretty solid state right now of not getting infected at this point. Right.
So I was at the big show one year and Homebrew Con, and there was club night and people were setting up to serve beer at club night. And this guy was sanitizing his faucets. He had cleaned them, cleaned them in water and everything, and he was sanitizing his faucets. And I was thinking to myself, why is he sanitizing the faucet? I mean, the beer's going to pass through the faucet, go in a glass, somebody's going to drink it. It's not going to turn in the guy's glass, I mean, I don't know.
Did you ask him?
There's a difference between clean, like you don't sanitize a drinking glass before you drink out of it. I mean, some people do.
Maybe some people do. Maybe
some people do.
Again, send your feedback to tburns@kegconnection.com where you're going to say, I sanitize every glass before.
So I would say that's an experiment we could do. We could do a keg we don't sanitize and a keg we do sanitize. I'm just not willing to actually risk 5 gallons of beer on my hypothesis is the problem.
Me either.
Let's do it. Let's do a 1 gallon test for that. And even then, pouring 1 gallon.
Oh, he'll be fine. I bet you're fine. I'm going to vote that you're absolutely fine.
I agree. And James, you're on your consensus.
I would definitely let it keg it, let it sit in condition, and then try it. If a couple weeks later, I guess you could taste it from the keg and then taste it in a couple weeks. If you taste a difference, then you'll know. But I don't think it'd be anything to.
And I don't want to put
about.
words in your mouth, Todd, but I bet you would say he's more likely to get off flavors if he didn't keep his beer lines clean than he is from not sanitizing his auto siphon during a transfer from secondary into a keg, right? Like if he has off flavors, it could also be like, well, when's the last time you cleaned your lines or something?
Right.
Yeah. I figured you would say you would agree with that because I know
just putting words in my mouth, but yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but allow me to put words in your mouth. I like prefacing sentences with things that I'm about to do, but telling you, well, I don't want to call you a liar, Todd, but blah, blah, and then call you a liar.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, Chris, for submitting your question. This has been a quick show, but again, I kind of, before we hit record, had said it probably would be, just because I don't have all my production gear here. And I tried to source some straightforward subjective questions for us to take that were also, some of these were very time sensitive. Like this guy, Chris, had just emailed us on Saturday of last week. So the quicker we can get to people's questions, like when they submit it, when they're time sensitive, the better. Because God knows, again, if I waited 4 years to bring up that question, like, oh, he submitted this. Oh, okay. Well, hope that batch turned out good. But anyway, so we have one final question for this week's episode. Came from our buddy Scott, who also used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Scott wrote, I just joined your Patreon and I'm ready to get my 10-gallon kit of Northern German alt beer. He just joined. I also received my cooler brew setup, so I'm very excited. Joshua, I know you and your dad prefer to brew outdoors on a cooler brew, but the video of Todd and James brewing on a cooler brew is all done indoors. What do you guys think is most ideal for an incident-free brew day? Indoors or outdoors on the cooler brew system? The most ideal for incident free is me not being there. That's my common denominator of brew days gone bad, is I was there. For Todd, it would be him and hydrometers, keep him away. And for James, I don't know, something about something carbonation, something. No, first off, thank you, Scott, for joining our Patreon community. I got your message. We have, like I said at the top of the show, the Northern German alt beer is a style I've never had nor brewed. So I'd love to hear how your batch turns out, Scott. But he has a good point. My dad and I brew outdoors. Sometimes we get flack for it. Not really the brewing outdoors part. We get flack when we transfer openly, whether it's outdoors or just not a closed transfer. I don't think it matters. I would brew wherever you're most comfortable temperature wise. We brew outside when the weather cooperates. When it's freezing, we don't prefer to brew outside. And when it's stupid hot like it gets here in Texas, we don't prefer to brew outside. I don't know the last time you guys even brewed outside. Do y'all care to ever brew outside again, Todd?
I mean, my system's inside, so.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, y'all have electric Herm systems, so you guys.
But if you remember, when we were using the cooler brew to do the video, we were heating everything up with the burner outside in Todd's garage. Yeah. So that was the only thing that would, then you can argue, well, what if you spill it, carrying it back in? I mean, you could go down that rabbit hole, but if you've got a turkey burner and you're heating water on that, I probably would do that outside.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that's an excellent point. That safety first, friends, and propane in an enclosed area is not safety first. You might
you want to always have the source of your propane outside. If you can have the burner inside, that's fine, but make sure the source is outside. I was at a camp this weekend on a quail hunt, and they had like 5 huge propane bottles inside with heaters hooked up to them, just running them inside. And it made me very nervous.
You were nervous? Shut up.
I hate that.
Come on now. I don't know. That not like if they were shaking a 2-liter unlined bottle full of gas.
No, that wouldn't bother me at all.
Okay, I just didn't know if that would bother you. But having propane indoors that's what shook you. Not mounting your burner to a wood pallet, like we just when that one question a few weeks ago, like, can you burn on wood? Like, no, of course not. Tom's like, oh, wait a second before I answer this. I do. Oh,
mine's on wood.
It's mounted to it. No, I think Scott. He didn't mention where he was from. You know what? I could have pulled up his info on Patreon and been real creepy. But wherever you're in the country, the cooler brew, what I do like about it is versatile. It is a versatile system that you can put anywhere. Like James said, if you are inside, if you're using propane like a turkey burner or something, I would do that as outside as you can. If it's a stovetop situation, whatever, hey, there you go.
It doesn't matter.
It might take a while on that volume, but it depends. If your stovetop's gas, you'll be all right if you have the clearance for your kettle to go on the heat source. Because that's the problem when you're brewing in 10-gallon batches. Like Todd would swear up and down that it's not more work in regards to the time you put in. But I would say you do have to have a little more consideration. A 20 quart kettle for a 5-gallon batch doesn't need as much clearance as your 11-gallon kettle is going to need if you're on a kitchen stovetop, right? I can easily fit a small pot on my new kitchen stove. I could not brew a 10-gallon batch here in my kitchen very easily. But also in the same breath, Scott, don't tell Todd if you're using that system for 5-gallon batches. He will be angry. He will chastise
you can boil 10 gallons on your stove at the house.
Yeah, if anything, you're talking about a 1.5 to 1 grain to water ratio or water to grain ratio. You're only looking at about 7.5 gallons.
I need to hold on.
You can split that between Todd, two kettles on the stove.
We're about to redo our kitchen. Because you see how the lady who we bought it from, very nice old lady, and she's not listening, but that little platform thing we're about to replace with the microwave over the range with a hood and run a vent through there. You still think that I could, if I wanted to brew a 10-gallon batch in here, I'd be all right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just get 2 of those kettles, those stainless steel kettles that we sell so much of.
Oh yeah. We do. Oh,
split it up.
By the way, those are we got a review on those new kettles recently. People love those, Todd. I forgot where you source them from. They're very popular. People are having a good time with those. I forget all the details about their clad or triclad, whatever they are, but they are extremely popular.
No, they're not. They're not triclad.
Okay,
you talking about the inexpensive ones?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not triclad.
No, that's what I was saying. I don't think they are. I'm saying I don't remember the details, like if they even were. But people are very happy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they're not very expensive and they work great. I've got one at home. I've used two. They work really well.
Yeah, you have one at home of everything though.
Yeah, I have to. I test stuff all the time.
You guys are the R&D for Cat Connection and CM Becker. And it's always funny when I come to the barn and it's like, what is that there? Oh yeah, I had to use that to test this. Oh, okay. And then it just gets thrown in the rafters of things. But don't ask him for any of that stuff. Like, hey, can I take that home and try it? No, that's mine. What if I need it?
I'm going to go home and test all the beer people have been sending us lately.
Stop. Please stop.
As long as you take notes, then we'll be way ahead.
You're right. If you start judging now, Todd, and then let's do a judging night on the cigars. You can get a head start. But anyway, Scott.
I don't think I've ever had a Cohiba before.
I thought y'all smoked. I thought in Germany, I thought y'all smoked Cuban Cohibas.
Yeah, but this isn't a Cuban.
Oh no,
Cohiba.
no,
it's
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe it is wood, right? And wink, wink. Or we can't talk about. It's the same way with people shipping us beer. They're not. Pardon me. People delivering us beer. I'm gonna bleep that last part out. Delivering is the all-encompassing word I have to use. Poor people, guys, they've been like, hey, I told FedEx what I was shipping and they won't let me. I was like, oh, I thought I wrote in the rule set, like, hey, when you're shipping, here's how you should do it.
Somebody really said that FedEx wouldn't let them.
Because FedEx said, what are you shipping? And they said beer. And like, oh, sorry, we can't. We don't do alcohol. So I didn't know. Well, I don't ship beer, guys. I've never shipped beer. I've sent live yeast samples out before, plenty of times. To my knowledge, I've never shipped beer. So don't hold me to that, FBI agent watching me on my camera. Anyways, guys, that was the last question I had for this week. I greatly appreciate y'all's time coming and doing the show with me on short notice. And knocking on wood, unless we have some weird weather scandal thing again, I'm going to see y'all next week for the inaugural Kolsch Cup. I couldn't be more excited. Our shirts are allegedly ready. We just got to pay for them and pick them up. And the trophy's there. I saw that photo of Todd, and the medals are there. Mm-hmm. And even our Todd had me buy us judge ribbons to be official. So we're all good to go for Kolsch Cup next week. I can't wait. So guys, thank y'all, and I'll see y'all next week.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, you can go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on the submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsor, homebrewsupply.com, for supporting us and the homebrewing community. Go to homebrewsupply.com, use our promo code HHH, and you'll get 5% off your order. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.
This program is made possible by the checkbook of Mr. Todd Burns and by contributions to our newly launched Patreon by viewers like you. Visit patreon.com/Homebrew Happy Hour and join our community. Thank you.